Boo, welcome to the Fox Shrine. This is Ashe. So, you might be wondering, why is this gonna be in episode 1? Didn't you already do this? Well, yeah, I have. The first part of this entire long playthrough was a stream. And not only was a stream, I kind of screwed up on the audio really bad. And I feel like I really need to almost redo it, like how all the other videos are. So my plan is, I'm just gonna be redoing this beginning part, and that will be the, the new beginning of this. I'm planning to redo a lot of my older stuff. I feel like I've gotten a bit better over time, and to look back at the mess-ups can be funny. I think it's just kind of looks unprofessional in a way, and it really bothers me. So I'm like, I'll just redo this. So we're gonna just start to the beginning where the second part started. If that makes any sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And then when I'm finished with this, I will do the ending where I stopped a while ago. Oh no! My headphone fell out. Alright, so we are gonna start from the beginning. It shouldn't take very long, because with streaming I kept stopping, talking, whatnot. And here I'd figured he'd be the one embarrassed to show up late. So Suba Kiko here. I give her usually a very high-pitched voice, which I'll do when she's speaking out loud like this. But because we don't want to destroy my voice, but when it's like a narrator, I'll just speak normal. So much for playing it cool, huh? I let my enthusiasm get the better of me and arrived too early. I would have felt guilty otherwise, making him wait at some station he never visited after a long trip here. I wonder how tall Susumu is. Couldn't really tell from the photo. Susumu was my distant relative. Like me, he was 16 and a junior in high school. I started this spring. He would be living here in Susada, going to the same school as me too. He said he'd know where my place was, but normally you pick people up at the station, right? Still though, that was no excuse for my premature arrival. It'd sure be nice if you got in a little early. He seemed like the punctual type, so I figured he'd be more likely to get here 5 minutes ahead of time. There was no way he'd showed up an hour early. Yet I had to go and get the brilliant idea to show up over an hour ahead of schedule anyway. It wasn't trying to get that carried away, but I wasn't. Honestly, it just kind of happened. Killing time at a chic coffee shop would be ideal for this sort of situation. But well, I didn't want to waste over 300 yen on my meager allowance on a single cup of coffee. 300 yen? That's so cheap. And there I was, leaning against a pillar in front of the ticket gate, looking like a fool as I stared off into space. At first I was worried about my hair looking funny, like I was waiting for my first date or something. Those silly feelings passed after a while. Eventually I found myself simply staring blankly at the bustling crowds of people, my mind as blank and staticky as a TV tuned to a dead channel. No matter how much I checked my phone, it wouldn't change the fact that I still had another 50 or so minutes to go. It'd be nice if I could find a game or something to pass the time. But since I was recharging MP in Wanya Dora, I couldn't play it for another 12 hours.
駅ってさ、何気に超メジャーでポピュラーな自殺スポットだと思うんだよね。
I don't know who this is. Personally, I think you'd be surprised how popular the spot train stations are for suicides. All of a sudden, my channel locked into a single voice speaking amidst the crowd. The voice appeared to be that of a young office worker all by herself, perhaps talking on the phone.
どんな自殺の名所もさ、結構行くの大変じゃん。
Getting to any of the real big spots is a journey in itself, isn't it?
覚悟とか度胸とか、というか行くのに時間かかるっていうか。
It takes a lot of courage, resolve, and even time.
だって思わない？富士の樹海とかで死ぬ人ってどんだけ頑張ってるわけ？
I mean, have you ever thought of how much work it takes to get all the way out to Awakigahara?
樹海までの行き方調べて、
I'm
電
gonna
車乗っ
butcher
て
Japanese.
乗り換えて
Just
乗り
bound
換え
to
て
happen.
歩いて歩いて。
First, you've got to look into how to get there. Hop on a train, switch line after line, then walk all the way up there.
普通死ぬためだけにそこまでやるかね。家で首つった方がどんだけ楽かって思うでしょ？
And all that to just kill yourself. Don't you think simply hanging yourself at home would be much easier? This got dark. She was discussing a rather morbid topic with the same energy one would the latest trends, fashions and trends. That said, I had to admit, it was fascinating.
首つるのだってそうそう簡単じゃないって。首をつるロープかその代わりのものなんてそうそう家にはないよ。
But even hanging yourself isn't all that simple. Most people don't have anything thick enough to do the job lying around, do they? Don't you just love when you're just in a public place, just waiting in line, and then some person just goes on and on about suicide right next to you? Now that she mentioned it, I couldn't think of anything at my place that could support my weight. Going to the store to get a rope or something just to hang yourself seemed like a real fast way to kill the mood. Indeed. Yeah, even just hanging yourself took effort.
自殺って
You're
さ、
too lazy.
初恋の男の子に今だって告白するような勢いとタイミングでするもんでしょ？
You need to find the right incentive and the right timing to kill yourself, just like confessing to your first crush, wouldn't you say? It was quite the scene. Female. It was in no way a funny topic, yet I almost giggled. The days of seppuku were long in the past, so most suicides these days are done on impulse. With that, I saw what she was getting at about the train stations being suicide hotspots.
駅ってさ、学生でも社会人でも誰もが日常に利用している場所なわけだよね。
Train stations are places everyone uses in their day-to-day lives, whether they're young or old.
それでホームで電車を待っている時間ってどんなに忙しい人でも自分を顧みるいい時間になるわけじゃん。
And no matter how busy you are, waiting on the platform from the train to come is a good time to reflect on yourself. And so in those few minutes waiting for the train, it could cross your mind how easy it would be just to end it all. Train platforms are truly a wonder in that sense. The thought of killing yourself passed through your head. You won't even need to prepare anything special. All it would take is a few steps toward the edge of the platform. Sure, you'd have to wait for a train first, but those arrived every few minutes during the busy hours. A desire to die and a few minutes of spacing out, that was all you needed. It was all just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
ね？最高の自殺スポットだと思わない？
It's the best suicide spot there is, don't you think?
コンビニやカラオケくらいに身近でお手軽なカジュアルな自殺スポットだと思うわけ。
So quick and easy, just as close as a convenience store or a karaoke bar.
疲れたらコンビニで栄養剤買ったり、カラオケでストレス発散したりとかするでしょ？駅もそれと同じじゃないかなって。
If you're tired, you go buy an energy drink. If you're stressed, you go sing, right? I feel like train stations are kind of the same. In other words, when you're tired of life, it should be okay to treat the idea of killing yourself almost casually. That's what she was saying. Suicide was supposed to be really tragic and serious, right? This woman was talking about how death shouldn't be considered that big of a deal. Like cutting your hair short for a change of pace, or splurging on fantastic overseas vacation. In other words, resetting your life should be treated just as lightly as all of that. I didn't know if it was because I was sleepy or what, but her words felt like they were awakening something awfully new and fascinating inside me.
そうだよね。
Yeah, you're right.
自殺って何もとことん追い詰められるまで考えちゃいけないものではないのかも。
Maybe don't have to be at the end of your rope to consider suicide after all. Like how you might just change up your hair after a breakup. Or how you might treat yourself to a makeover or a new purse on a whim. Maybe it really should be treated as casually as that.
自殺って言葉が私は物騒だと思うんだよね。
You know, I think the word suicide is a bit too extreme.
確かに。
エステで新陳代謝を改善して新しいお肌に生まれ変わらせるのと全く同じ感じ。
When really, it feels just as rejuvenating as having a spa day to exfoliate and boost your metabolism.
だから自分殺しなんて物騒な言葉じゃなくて、
So maybe we should go as far to say we're killing ourselves.
人生のリピュアとかってどうかな。ね、なんか素敵な響きになったと思わない？
Instead that we're rejuvenating our lives. Don't you think that has a wonderful ring to it?
人生のリピュア。
Rejuvenating our lives, huh? Yeah, that did have a nice ring to it. It was only then that I realized the woman had been talking to me. She was leaning against the other side of the pillar. Well, I mean, of course she was talking to you. Oh. Well, I turned around and locked eyes with her. She was an older woman, in her 20s or so, with stunning long hair and somewhat compassionate aura around her.
してみると結構驚いちゃうよ。
It's a real eye-opener, I'll tell you.
ああ、
I'll tell
こ
you
んな
what.
に簡単だったんだって。
It never hits you until right then, just how easy it is.
なんで今まで無駄に怖がってたんだろう。バカみたいって。
You feel like such an idiot for having worried over nothing for so long.
したことあるんですか？リピュア。
Have you ever rejuved yourself? Well, she's still there. Yes. He answered as if I had simply asked for the time. Wait, hold on a second. I felt as though my entire world had been turned upside down. Uh-oh. Wiggly is happening. I grew as dizzy as if heaven and earth had been inverted, and the sounds of the crowds around me grew deafening, as though someone had turned up the volume on them. Uh-oh. All of a sudden, I found myself at the very front of a crowded platform, beyond where the waiting line would usually start. I wasn't even a full step away from going over the edge, but there was a sea of people behind me. It was as packed as a can of sardines. Trying to force them back did no good, and if I tried to push my way through them, they pushed back just as hard.
見て見て。下を。
Come on. Look down. I heard the woman close by, but I couldn't see her. I didn't plan on listening to her, but a push from behind instinctively drew my eyes to my feet. I was stunned by what I found. Where there should have been gravel and train tracks was instead a vast blue sky, spreading out as far as the eye could see. Beautiful fields of clouds adorned that light blue sky. It was like I was looking down from a floating island. No, wait, those clouds seemed familiar. They're just like those towering cumulonimbus clouds I had seen one summer when I was a kid, lying on a field in a nature park. That's right, there wasn't a sky below me. The sky I looked up at that day was under my eyes. And just as soon as I realized that, I felt though gravity had been turned on its head. My chest grew light with the desire to be sucked into that blue ocean. Like that feeling you get when you finally reach the top of a tall slide after waiting in a long line.
おいでよ。
Come along.
でも、
すっごい簡単であっさりだよ。怖くなんかないから。
There's no need to be scared. It's easy, really.
なんでそっちにこだわってたのかバカみたいになるよ。
You'll feel like a fool for ever worrying about it. The woman appeared before me, holding her hand out to me. I had no idea how she got there without me noticing. Almost like she'd walk up to me as I lay gazing at the sky on that field, inviting me to go with her. And it wasn't just her. There were other women there, her friends or co-workers, maybe, along with men in suits. Though it felt like they were inviting me to a barbecue or something. They looked so out of place in the suits that it felt silly to me.
でも、これって。
That means jumping off the platform, right? But there was an announcement signaling the arrival of the next train. And yet everyone was coaxing me over to them, their faces plastered with blissful smiles. Almost like they were telling me I'd miss the train if I didn't hurry. But couldn't they hear that screeching of metal against tracks? The train was coming. I couldn't jump. If I did, I'd...
ほら、早く。
Hurry up.
怖くないから。痛くもないんだよ。
So scared. It doesn't hurt. Hurry, hurry. You're going to miss it. Everyone said that as they reached out and waved to me. Like telling me I'd miss out on all the fun if I didn't come along. But they were asking the impossible because... Haven't they all been crushed to pieces? Their hands, feet, and heads were all crushed to pieces, weren't they? There was no blue sky, just a blanket of scattered stone dyed reddish-brown by the elements and rust. Faded metal rails like prison bars reaching out into the distance. It was from there that the dead moaned, pushing the track bellows as they desperately reached out to me. Their own buried hell beneath the stone, its residents doomed to be crushed under the weight of each passing train, unnoticed by the living day after day. The mutilated dead moaned there in agony as they desperately sought new companions. One of them had become nothing more than a particularly crushed head. Another outstretched hand had fallen right off their arm. An indecipherable jumble of hands and feet squeezed through the stones as they beckoned me over. Chills ran through me from head to toe. I wanted to back away, but the sea of people behind were pushing back just as hard against me. No, even harder. Stop! However, they were clearly winning. My toes that already stretched out past the platform were trembling in midair. I stretched my arms as far as they could go, grabbed onto someone behind me, and held on for dear life. But the encroaching wall of flesh kept pushing. By this moment, my heels were already halfway over the platform. The eyes of the mechanical carnivore gleamed as it grew closer. The train rushed forward, crushing the moaning dead underfoot as it did. The screams of the damned joined in chorus with the metallic screeching as the train approached with its fierce velocity. Swallow me whole if I don't get out of the way. Just then, I found myself dancing in midair. At that moment, Stone Graveyard, the suffering dead, suddenly transformed in that magnificent sky once again. I couldn't tell if I was falling or floating. Congratulations! Congratulations! Everyone stood on that field of grass under the sky, their arms raised as in celebration, and waited for me. I fell gently into their clutches. Almost like I was light as a feather. Their countless hands caught me comfortably.
ね。怖くなかったでしょ?
See? That wasn't so scary, now was it? Welcome to our world.
あなたと一緒に来れて嬉しいよ。
We're
だ
happy.
って誰にも私の声が届かないんだもの。
We're happy to have you. After all, no one can hear us. There is no pain or suffering, nor sorrow nor anger, nor irritation or frustration either. They're all things of the past here. Hold on. There we go. Of course, the same goes for hope, salvation, resurrection, and rebirth. The transition illusion was all a lie. The sky, clouds, field, and people who welcomed me all vanished. I was lying on the rails, bound tight by countless hands. That's right, I was a sacrifice to the steel behemoth. My body was gnawed down to nothing by the jaws of the train in the blink of an eye. All my bones broke with a sound asking to the crunching of a candy bar. I heard that with the ear remaining on my severed head. Naturally, not even my severed head could escape those steel jaws, of course. Who would have thought that the sound would be music to one's ears? Crunch mash. What a pleasant sound, like sinking your scissors into the skin of a crisp candied apple. It was a bit of a surprise to discover how gratifying it was to have my body devoured. Deep down, I understood it was an evil, detestable temptation. Being so thoroughly gnawed at, it was a sensation, both satisfying and amusing beyond comprehension. You know how it feels good when you're stretching and you feel your joints crack? Well, try picturing that, but all over your body, like goosebumps, and it keeps happening over and over again. Then you might understand. Crunch smash. I knew, of course, that I shouldn't get into that kind of pleasure. But by that point, my body had been reduced to little more than an assortment of paste and limbs strewn across the rails. Crunch smash. What little there was left of me was being dragged under the track bed, a world of crushed limbs and inner. But it seemed that was enough to kill them. Agonized moans filled the air. I understand. This was liberation. I didn't have to remember my day-to-day life any longer. I didn't have to keep spacing out and waiting without end. Waiting? Hold on. Why did I come to the station again? Oh well, who cared? It didn't matter anymore. Oh, another train was coming. Screech. Crunch. Smash. The wheels of the train crushed hundreds more limbs and torsos and organs. Yeah. Crunch smash. A blinding light gradually intruded my ecstasy, and all traces of thought came to an end. Hey, are you okay? Tsubakiko panted as she returned to reality. He was leaning against the pillar in front of the station, waiting for Suzumu. That was still the same. One thing was different. Time had advanced to the point of Suzumu's arrival. Suzumu? You look like you were in pain just now. Did It drifted off. Tsubahiko gave a slight nod as he suggested that perhaps she'd been spacing out for so long. She'd had a waking dream. Are you alright? Do you want to rest a bit? I'm fine. I just spaced out a bit, really. Did you have a bad dream or something? Dreams can sometimes be so clear that they feel real when you're in them. Yet in most cases, you barely remember what they were about the moment you wake up. Tsubakiko couldn't put into all words. She knew that it was a bizarre, grotesque daydream. She couldn't recall anything more than that. But as she stared at Suzumu's face, her mind started clearing up. She could feel herself returning to reality, the daydream being driven away in a flash. She had already completely forgotten that fantastical delusion that she'd taken hold of her. People don't tend to retain every detail of the daydreams or fantasies they might have when spacing out, after all. Fantasies like this happen all the time. Sorry, I got here a little early, so I must have dozed off. Oh, how early are we talking? About an hour, maybe? Wow, that's amazing. You waited for me that long? I wasn't really waiting for you or anything. Taka. Just happened to get here a little bit early, that's all. Whatever, boys aren't supposed to get caught up on that sort of stuff anyway. You're funny, Kiko. Well, I'd feel bad if a country boy like you got lost at the station. Do you understand? So I came here early and waited. You understand? Do you?
遅くなると思うけどな。
But if I gotten lost, wouldn't I be running late instead?
荷物はそれで全部？カバン1個持ってあげるね。
Is that your stuff? I'll take one of your bags.
あ、大丈夫だよ。重いよ。
Oh no, that's okay. They're heavy.
No problem! うわ
It's no problem. No problem. Wait. Wow. Tsubakiko snatched Suzumu's travel bag out of his grasp, only to drop it to her feet with a thud.
何これめちゃくちゃ重いじゃん
This thing, it weighs a ton.
だから重いよって言ったのに。
See, I told you.
スズムが軽そうに持ってたからてっきり軽いんだとばっかり
It didn't look like you were having any trouble with it, so I thought it'd be light.
ひょっとしてリュックの方が軽かったりする？そっち持ってあげる
Is your backpack any lighter? I'll carry it instead.
大丈夫だよ。それにこのカバンより重いよ。
It's okay, really. Besides, it's heavier than the bag.
スズムって結構力持ちなんだね
Suzumu, you sure are strong.
さすがは男子
Well, you are a boy after all.
ああそっか武道をやってるんだったっけ
Hey, that's right. You do martial arts, don't you?
まあ腕だけは鍛えてるからね。
Just my arms, really.
昔と変わらず一見細そうなのにずいぶん成長しちゃったね
You look as thin as you used to. But wow, you've really grown.
キコちゃんこそ
Same with you.
実際に会ったらこんなにも可愛らしく成長してたんで、すっごい驚いちゃった。
I can't believe how cute you've gotten.
そうありがとうお世辞でも嬉しいかな
You think so? Thanks. I'm happy to hear that. Even if you're just trying to be nice.
お世辞なんかじゃないよ。キコちゃんはすごく可愛らしくなったと思う。
I'm not just being nice. I meant every word.
ありがとう
Thank
まあ私も女子やってるしキュートキュートになるよう毎日努力してるしね
Thanks. Well, I am a girl, you know. I work hard every day to be as cute as a cute little button. There wasn't a single hint of flattery in Suzumu's compliments, making Tsubihiko even more embarrassed. Her heart was all aflutter at the thought that Suzumu might turn out to be one heck of a lady killer. His full name was Suzumu Suzahara. Just like Tsubakiko, he was 16 years old and in 11th grade. He would be going to the same school as her starting in April. As per family tradition, he would start living on his own from this year onwards. His large backpack and traveling bag contained his personal belongings and the like. That said, he was still a minor, so it wasn't like he would be truly living on his own just yet. The Haramiyas, Tsubihiko, and her parents would be taking care of him. Suzumu and Tsubihiko were relatives. However, they were 6 times removed, so they could hardly be considered close in terms of blood ties. Just saying that. What's more, the two hadn't seen each other since their great-grandfather's funeral over a decade ago. Their parents had told them each how the other was doing, but this was the first time in so long they were truly meeting face to face. Despite that, they didn't feel like strangers at all. Family ties truly are a curious thing. Even if today had been their first meeting, Tsubihiko wouldn't have been opposed to welcome him to the family at all. It was strange, but that's just how close she felt to him.
じゃあ行こっか
Ready to go?
なんだろう。なんだか騒がしいね。
What's with the commotion? The station employees were in a fluster. The teenagers exited the station were rambling on about something, their faces pale.
飛び込みらしいよ。それもたった今だって。
It sounds like someone jumped, and just now, too.
何それ怖い
Seriously? That's creepy.
髪の長い若い OL が電車に飛び込んだって言ってるね。
They're saying an office lady in her 20s with long hair jumped right into a train. An office lady in her 20s with long hair?
やだ怖い
My god, that's awful.
気の毒だね。死んで咲く花なんてないのに。
Terrible. That doesn't solve anything.
リピュアかも
Maybe she was retrieving her life.
Huh?
Huh?
リ
What's that?
何
なんだっけ。
Huh? Did I say something? For a moment, images of a field under a blue sky and a woman with an unsettling smile flashed through Subahiko's mind. But they faded into a fog of oblivion just as soon as they appeared. After all, it was pointless to remember daydreams. True that.
ここがキコちゃんの住むアパートなんだ。
So this is where you live, huh? My father considered living alone to be a trial of sorts for me. But generations... Okay, so we're back with narrator. We're now Suzahara. For generations, men of the Suzahara family had lived independently after reaching a certain age. Only one side had trained his body and mind without relying on others. Was he considered a full-fledged adult? I eagerly awaited this opportunity for as long as I could remember. That was why I studied up all sorts of things in preparation for this day, so I could live on my own. The thought of finally being able to put all that to a test excited me beyond words.
はい、これスズムの部屋の鍵。2階の202号室ね。
Here you go. This is the key for your place. You're in your room. You're in room 202 on the second floor.
ありがとう。
Water.
僕だけの家か。なんだかワクワクするな。
Ah, okay. Thanks. My own place, huh? I'm starting to get pretty excited now. Kiko's family, the Harumiyas. Oh, Kiko being Subahiko. Her full name was Subahiko Harumiya. Anyway, Kiko's family, the Harumiyas, were landlords who owned several apartment complexes in Susada. This quaint two-story apartment complex, residential Harumiyan to the second, was one of them. And I would be living here. I opened the door to find a futon and stacks of cardboard boxes containing daily necessities for me. The delivery men had already made their rounds.
それにしてもずいぶんいろいろと送ったね。
Wow, that was a lot more stuff than I was picturing.
男子なんてせいぜい身の回りのものをカバンに詰め込んだらおしまいかと思ってたな。
I kinda had in my head that guys just stuffed their things into one bag and that was it.
自炊しなさいって言って母さんがフライパンとかお鍋とかも送ってくれたからね。
My mom said I'll be cooking for myself, so she sent stuff like a frying pan and a hot pot.
スズム、自炊なんてできるの？
Wait, you can cook?
多少はできるつもりでいるよ。
That's the plan.
得意って胸を張れるほどじゃないけどね。
Though I wouldn't call myself a master chef or anything.
キコちゃんはお料理とかってできるの？
What about you? Can you cook?
こう見えても将来の夢はプリティな花嫁さんだしね。
I mean, I look like it, but my dream is to be a pretty wife someday.
花嫁修行の一環としてお料理も欠かさずお勉強してるの。
And what kind of wife would I be if I didn't learn how to cook?
デリシャスな手料理でスズムを脳殺しちゃうよ。
I'm gonna blow your mind with some delicious home cooking.
へえ、それはすごいや。今度ぜひご馳走してほしいな。
That sounds great. I'd like to try some of that.
任せて。私も男子の舌に合うかどうか試したいと思ってたから。
Just leave it to me. I want to find out what guys like. So you'd be doing me a favor too. Hiko nodded along, her eyes gleaming and her smile beaming. It seemed she'd been looking forward to living near a boy her age. What with being in the midst of adolescence and all.
ちなみに隣の201は私の部屋ね。
By the way, I'm in 201, right next door.
壁薄いからね。聞き耳立てて乙女の秘密を聞こうとしたら血祭りにしちゃうからね。
Also, the walls are thin, so if you ever dare to eavesdrop and hear any of my little lady secrets, I'll slaughter you. You got it?
しないよ、そんなこと。
I'd never do that. I mentioned it might be easier to unpack with a box cutter and scissors. But Kiko left the room, saying she'd go get them. With the bright and cheery Kiko gone, a somewhat chilly stillness filled the room. The place hadn't been renovated. There's faint traces of the previous owner's existence still lingering about. Walls. Replacing that with my pre-sense and making the place my own would be among the great pleasures of living alone. But until then, I just have to put up with a bit of discomfort. Huh? Wow! I don't know if I mentioned this in the past. There was one time I lived in an apartment, and for some reason the fan we were in was reversed, and then we fixed it, and it literally looked like this. With dust, but it was white, not black. It was really gross. Anyway, just then, long black hair gently tickled my cheek. Oh, it was just some falling dust. Yeah, I looked up the ceiling. Do you have a fan? And discovered it was a pitch black, like someone had painted it with soot. It felt gently, like black snow. When I came to my senses, I found myself in a pitch black cloud filled with that falling snow. I couldn't see a thing. Oh, I'm getting covered. However, I can sense many presences. At that moment, I thought I could hear a female voice reading out something like a sutra at length. Her voice sounded youthful, but I couldn't see her anywhere. Uh-oh. Instead, a giant turquoise object, shaped like a spindle, heavy and covered in rust, came into view. It felt like the voice was coming from within it. Many people were sitting around the object. The lights of many candles flickered about, giving the affair a ritualistic atmosphere. Candlelight danced in a cloud of black soot, illuminating the massive conical mass. I could hear the woman reading, no, praying, singing inside it. I couldn't help but wonder what in the world that thing was. My eyes were gradually drawn into it. The woman's chants broke into coughs from time to time. My heart wrenched at that sound. I felt like I was going to choke in the cloud of soot as well. Before I knew it, that bizarre object loomed over me like a massive mountain, then swallowed and squashed my consciousness whole. Guard. ITZAH Prefectural High School, Class 2A, my class. Originally, the plan had been for me to transfer here long ago. Oh, a year ago, back when I was starting high school. But my mother fell ill just before the entrance exam, so I had to stay and help around home. As a result, I was delayed. She eventually returned from the hospital with a clean bill of health, so I finally started attending the school 1 year later. At first, I was worried a transfer student like me would attract all sorts of attention and have a hard time. But since there were so many students at the school, and I transferred right at the start of the school year, no one noticed. That was to be expected. The freshmen had 8 different classes, and there was no way the students would know everyone in grade. They all probably figured I had been in a different class last year, just some classmate they hadn't bumped into until now. So no one had any reason to think I was a transfer student, unless I told them. It made things much easier for me. What's more, every day at the school wasn't just easy, it was actually pleasant. As for why? Well, first of all, Kiko was in the same class. Social studies is so boring.
眠すぎて授業が終わってもスリスリスリーピーだよ。
Ayo, I slept so much that I'm still sleepy. So sleepy, even though class is over, Jayo.
ノートちゃんと取ってた？テストに出るって言ってたよ。
Did you take notes? The teacher said it'd be on the test.
え、そんなこと言ってた
？Seriously?
よかったら僕のノートを写す？
You can copy my notes if you like.
スズム、サンキューサンキューだよ。
Thank you, Suzumu Dayo.
よいしょ。スズムのノート。
Suzumu, your notes.
何？字汚かった？
Huh? Is my handwriting bad?
女子力高い。
They're so girly.
なんでこんなにふわふわに書いてあるわけ？スズムの文字丸すぎ、可愛すぎ。
How's your handwriting so flowery? Look at how bubbly it is. It's too cute.
そうかな。子供みたいな字で恥ずかしいよ。
Ah. 。 My phone's dying. How's it dying? Oh, didn't plug it in. Okay. Really? Honestly, I find it embarrassing. It's like a kid.
あとイラストいっぱい、吹き出しいっぱい。
And there's so many drawings. Look at all the speech bubbles.
ここはテストに出るよ。ここがポイントだにゃ。
This will be on the test, alright? Better meow. Memorize it. This part.
何これ。高すぎる。女子力が高すぎる。
Seriously? What is this? It's unbelievable. You're more feminine than I am. Compared to mine, Kiko's handwriting was rather dull and simplistic. Her boredom with school was palpable from her notes alone.
すずむ、あんたのノート
Ismail, I need to ask you.
いくら出したら私のノートってことにしてくれる？
How much would you be willing to sell these for?
ダメだよ。勉強は自分で書いて覚えなきゃ。
I don't think so. It doesn't count as studying unless you write and memorize it yourself.
勉強はどうでもいいから、あんたの女子力少し私に分けなさいよ。
This isn't about studying. Just teach me your ways.
これ鈴原くんのノートなの？
Huh? These are Suzaharu's notes?
かわいい。わかりやすい。
So cute, so easy to understand. For some reason, girls have always liked me. Not like I had a clue why. But I had guy friends too.
さすがは鈴原、相変わらずグレイトな男だぜ。
Suzaharu, right? As great as a man as always.
光と影あらば男と女あり。グレイトな男になるためには女子力も必要ってわけだな。
Just as there's always light and darkness, in every gray man lies a touch of femininity.
それは誤解だよ。
You got it all wrong.
いいや、謙遜するな。俺はめめしいなんて思ってないぜ。
No, don't be modest. I don't think you're feminine at all.
お前のグレートな全てを吸収してやる。